Hi friends, so now we are going to do Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle. I'm going to change the names a bit to fit kind of our lives right now. And since we are not allowed to go visit our friends right now, we're just going to pretend with this. So, once upon a time, there was a teacher named Miss Brandy and a teacher named Miss Megan, and they were best friends. And Miss Brandy lived all the way in North Austin at Wells Branch, and Miss Megan lived all the way at South Austin around the Slaughter area. Well, as you can imagine, it took a very long time to get to each other's houses. Well, one day, Miss Brandy decided, I would love to go visit my best friend, Miss Megan. So I'm going to wake up extra early and try to get to her and get to her house and see her. But what Miss Brandy forgot to do was text Miss Megan letting her know she was coming. I wonder what's gonna happen. Well, Miss Brandy woke up that morning, got out of bed, walked outside, got in her car, shut the door, and she got to driving. And she went up a hill and down a hill and up a hill and down a hill. Can you do this with me? And up a hill and down a hill and up a hill and downhill and uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, until she got to Miss Megan's apartment. Well, she knocked on the door, and there was no answer. So then she went to the back door, and there was no answer. Well, pretty soon, she noticed it was getting late, and she knew that traffic would be very bad getting home. So she decided to get back in her car and go home. And so she went up a hill and down a hill. Follow me? Up a hill and down a hill, up a hill and downhill, uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, till she got home. She got out of her car. She walked inside her house. She got into bed. She went to sleep. Well, a few days later, Miss Megan woke up and had a brilliant idea. Do you know what that idea is? She decided that she would go visit her best friend, Miss Brandy. But you know what she forgot to do? She forgot to text Miss Brandy. I wonder what's going to happen. Is she going to be there? We'll see. So that morning she woke up. She got out of bed. She walked outside. She got in her car. She shut the door. And she got to driving. She went up a hill and down a hill and up a hill and down a hill. Can you do this with me? And up a hill and down a hill and up a hill and down a hill. Make sure you're crossing your body right here. And up a hill and down a hill and uphill and downhill until she got to Miss Brandy's house. And she knocked on the door. But there was no answer. She ran around to the back door. She knocked on the back door. But there was no answer. She tried one more time. She went to the front door, but there was no answer. Well, by the time she finished knocking on all the doors, she realized she had to get home, and she knew it would take her a long time, so she went ahead and left, and she got back in her car, and she got to driving, and she went up a hill and down a hill and up a hill and down a hill and up a hill and down a hill and up a hill and downhill, uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, until she got home. She got out of her car, she went inside, she closed her door, and she went to sleep. Well, a few days passed, and Miss Brandy decided, you know what, I should go try again. And Miss Megan also decided, you know what, I should go try to visit my friend again. So, without either of them knowing it, they woke up one morning, they walked outside, they got in their cars, they closed their doors, and they got to driving, and they went up a hill and down a hill. Can you go up high? Up a hill and bring it back down low, and down a hill and up a hill and downhill. Faster. Up a hill, down, up a hill, downhill, up a hill and downhill and up. Until, what did they do? They ran into each other. They drove past and they both stopped their cars. And they got out of their cars. And what do you do when you see your friend after you haven't seen your friend for a very long time? You give your friend a best friend hug, a beautiful squeeze, so gentle. And then what do? Well, then you talk, of course. And they talked and 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 talked. They talked about the weather. They talked about this quarantine. They talked about what they've been doing with their mommies and daddies while they were trying to survive in their houses. And they talked about all kinds of things. And they talked and 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 talked until the sun went low. And they decided, hey, it's time for us to get home. So they said goodbye by giving each other a best friend hug. And they promised each other that they would call or text next time they were going to someone's house so that they knew they were coming. And then they got back in their cars and they got to driving. And they went down a hill and up a hill and down a hill. Can you bring it up high? And up, all the way back, and down a hill and uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, uphill, till they got home. And they got out of their cars. They opened the door. They walked inside. They closed the door. And they went to sleep. The end. Well, we know that someday soon we will be able to get in our cars and go visit our friends. And until then, I hope you enjoy doing this little finger play with me. It's gonna get you some exercise. It's gonna get your mind moving. You're gonna be thinking, getting your brain working. And you know, something that I think would be fun is if you create your own Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle. You can name them yourselves. They don't have to be Miss Brandy and Miss Megan. They could be JJ and Henry, or Annie and Aaron, any of our friends. They could be Mom and Dad. They could be anyone. And I would love for you to do that. And if you feel like making a video and sending it to us, you may. If not, then just you can tell us about it when we see each other next, okay? Love you, friends. Bye.